Hello, I am Miss Pagel. I am the kindergarten teacher here at Aquinas Academy, and I'm creating this video to share a little bit about the DIBELS assessment we give to our students 3 times a year. So DIBELS stands for Dynamic Indicator of Basic Early Literacy Skills, and we assess our students around the beginning of the year in October, mid-year in January, and towards the end of the year around May. So today I'd like to walk through a little bit about what we're looking for when we're giving this assessment and to show you what this child might expect when receiving this assessment, and then most importantly, how we use this information. So what is DIBELS? It is a measurement used to assess early literacy skills and basic reading skills for students from kindergarten through 6th grade. And today I'll just be focusing on the kindergarten assessment. So we can use the information from this assessment for many different things. We can use it to identify students who might be at risk for reading difficulties. We might use it to help identify areas that we can target instructional support, and we can monitor these at-risk students while they receive the additional support that they need. And we could even potentially use it to examine the materials we are using to see if they are effectively helping our students learn what we hope them to. So to begin, I'd just like to show you the booklet that we use. So this is an assessment booklet, and each child has their own booklet, and the child does not really see this. This is only for me. I use the first page to write down the student's information and keep track of their scores throughout the year. So this assessment is all done orally. I may show the student some things, but they have no writing or any part of this book. And this is our assessment manual that I will refer to throughout the video to help you understand a little bit about what will happen during this assessment. So first, I'd like to start by going through and telling you about each component of the assessment we give. So unfortunately, there are a lot of abbreviations used, and I don't want you to worry about the abbreviations. I can provide for you a list of these abbreviations and what they mean. So the first abbreviation, FSF, means First Sound Fluency. So the first part of the assessment is the student able to hear a word and give us the first sound? So the reason we do this is at the foundation of reading, we're looking to see if students are able to tell that words are made of sounds, and when given a word, can they break it into different sounds? So before the student is assessed, we give them some instructions and some time to practice. So I would say, listen to me say this word, man. The first sound that you hear in man is Listen. Man. What is the first sound you hear at the beginning of man? And then I wait and hear the student's response. Then I give them another practice, and if they need a third one, there's that as well. But as soon as I see that they understand the directions, I proceed on with the assessment. And after the first time of giving the instructions are not repeated, and the student then has 1 minute to listen to the word and give the first sound for as many words as they can. And while the student does this, I'm recording, and the booklet looks like this. I'll hold it as close to the camera as I can. So I would say a word, and then I would circle what they say or write what they say, and then score it based on what they say and if they say the correct sound. So the next assessment I would like to tell you about is the letter naming fluency, LNF. So the letters are the building blocks of reading, and what we want to see here is, do the students know their letters? Are they able to identify them? And what's important is that the letters are capital and lowercase, and they're all mixed up. So a student might memorize the alphabet and be able to tell you that way. But when they're mixed up in this way, we know that the student actually knows the letter. So for this one, we just tell them, I'm going to show you a list of letters. I want you to tell me as many as you can. And then again, they have a whole minute, and we see how many letters they're able to show. And in addition to telling what letters that they can identify. I'm also looking to see if they're able to start and read left from right, if they're able to keep track of where they are on the page, or if they're jumping around. If they make a mistake on a letter, I like to note what the mistake is so that I can look for patterns. Or if they just don't know a letter, I can go back and see which letter they consistently miss. And something that I really like is at the bottom of the page, there is a check mark space that I can, if I see a common error, I can check it off. For example, student makes random errors, or a student makes consistent errors, or says a letter sound instead of the name. So that is the letter naming fluency. And at the beginning of the year, the assessment that's given around October. Those are the only two components that we give to the students. And then the second half of the year, we give those two again, but in addition to those, there are two more components to the assessment. So we'll use different words for the first sound fluency and a different combination of letters for the letter naming fluency. But the next thing we add, its abbreviation is PSF, and that means phoneme segmentation fluency. And what we're looking for there is when we give a student a word, are they able to break that word into the sounds? So, for example, the direction I would give, we are going to say the sounds in words. Listen to me say all of the sounds in the word fan. F, a, n, fan. Let's listen to another word. Jump. J, m, p. Your turn. Say all of the sounds in soap. So that's the instruction I give them, and then they then have a minute after I see that they understand the instructions. They then have a minute to show me how many words they are able to break apart like that. And as they do, I am taking notes in this booklet, marking which sounds they miss, what sounds they are able to give, and if they are not breaking up the sounds and just saying the whole word. And then the last assessment or component of this assessment, this is also only not given until the second benchmark. This is the nonsense word fluency. So for this assessment, we are seeing if the child is able to read nonsense words. So are they able to see the letters and associate the sounds with them and put them together to make a word, whether it's a real word or nonsense word. So, of course, like the other assessments, I won't read the directions for this one, but like the other assessments, we'll give them the directions, allow them to practice a few times, and then we begin the assessment and we show them a list of nonsense words. And just like the letter naming fluency, in addition to seeing if they're able to read the word, we're also paying attention to see if they're reading from left to right, if they're tracking properly, if they're able to stay in order, if they're able to keep place where they are on the page. And then when scoring this part of the assessment, there are two different scores, CLS, and that is the correct letter sound, and WWR, and that just means whole word read. So we keep track of that. And again, like the other pages, there are some things that we're also looking for, like do they make random errors? Are they saying the correct sound but not able to recode it? Do they say the correct sound, but then when they re-say the word, do they say it incorrectly? Those are some of the mistakes, common errors that we look for. So those are the four components of the DIBELS assessment. At the beginning of the year, they get the first sound fluency and the letter naming fluency. At the middle of the year, in addition to those two, they have the phoneme segmentation fluency and the nonsense word fluency. And then at the end of the year, we don't continue with the first sound fluency, and they only have letter naming fluency, phoneme segmentation fluency, and nonsense word fluency. So when giving this assessment, I expect it to take between 5 and 10 minutes. Each component, the student is being assessed for a minute and seeing how much they can do within that minute, but there's also time for making sure they understand the directions and have a few to practice. And one thing that I like about this assessment is we give it one-on-one, and the day that we give it, a substitute will be in the classroom so that I can pull the child out and work with them. And what I like about that is it really gives me such a great idea of how that student is doing and if they are where I need them to be and what they may need to work on. So, um, and another thing about DIBELS is it continues on up through sixth grade, and each year it'll look a little bit different because, of course, the child's skills will be different. Um, and again, I'd like to share with you how we really use these skills. So, on the website for DIBELS, it provides a number of reports to help us to really understand the information. Um, and each section has a specific benchmark that I can compare what that child's score is to the benchmark expected of a child in their grade. But what I mostly use the scores for is I like to look at the class as a whole. I like to look for patterns, see if there is something my class is really strong at, if there is something my class overall really needs work on. Like, for example, if I notice a pattern with the nonsense word frequency, maybe the students are all able to give me the sounds, but then they're not able to read the words as I expect them to or need them to. So I know that when I am working on some learning stations, that's a skill that I can focus on. I can also use the information to see how the students compare to each other and begin to use that to form some small reading group instruction time, our learning centers based on the needs of the specific student. Um, so I hope that that was helpful, a good overview of what to expect for DIBELS and why we do it. And of course, I'd be happy to answer any further questions you may have. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video.